Hello and welcome to the morning after show presented by Underdog Fantasy Sports. My name is Joshua Reimer. I am joined by none other than the man who's been gone for the past 4 days, Jared Block. Jared, I've missed you a lot, bud. How are you doing?
Missed you too, man. Missed all you guys. It was a good time, good weekend. The first 2 days of the trip, I'm sure you know, and everybody who lived on the East Coast knew that there was nothing but rain from
Yep.
Friday until Saturday. I saw that there was like 5 games on the East Coast canceled Friday night. I was like, yeah, that makes
Yep.
sense. I'm getting destroyed over here myself too, but I had a good weekend otherwise. Had some really nice weather on Sunday and Monday, and I came back to a day that's going to be 80 plus degrees in Milwaukee. So I'm pumped. I get to spend some time outside today, and yeah, I think it's going to be a good day to potentially forget about what happened to the Bucks last night.
Yeah, well, I hate to tell you that that's the first thing. Well, not the first thing, but one of the first things that we're going to kick off with after we talk about some NHL. But yeah, it was a rainy weekend. It was a tough day on Friday weather-wise for MLB, and now we get some warm weather, or at least I'm getting some warm weather too. I get that same temperatures up in the 80s, so it'll be a nice day for sure. But it'll be a great day to talk about some sports content because we've been gone for 4 days and there's plenty to talk about. And we're going to kick it off with talking about the NHL playoffs like we do to start off this show every time. Let's go through all the games that went on yesterday. We are going to kick it off with the Panthers getting a big win in OT against the Capitals, which ended up tying this series. I gave Anthony some shit yesterday because he told me Panthers are the best team in the league, and I said, yeah, well, why are they down 2-1 in the series then, Anthony? They tie things up though, and they're the current favorites to win the Stanley Cup. So this seemed like it was like a must-win scenario for this team because you go down 3-1 and it doesn't look pretty after that.
Right. That's okay. That's cool. I mean, if they're down now, or if the series is tied, right? So that's interesting. I wonder what the actual odds are for that now.
You know,
Um, Crazy. So yeah, let's keep going.
Yeah, let's keep going. I also gave Anthony some shit yesterday about his Penguins, who got scored on in the first like 2 minutes, and so I was like, you guys are gonna lose this game. You guys just got scored on. It hasn't even been 2 minutes in. You guys are gonna get smashed. And then I looked at the score later on in the night for shits and giggles, and see that Penguins routed the poor Rangers here. 7-2 win for them. They're now leading the series 3-1. Penguins, I mean, it seems like Anthony keeps telling me how they're playing up with like their backup goalie right now, like their third string goalie, and that's all they have. And so, it seems pretty impressive that they keep pulling these games out.
Yeah, that is impressive. I'm sure he's happy about that, and I'm sure that we will hear all about it today.
I'm sure we will. Next game, Flames facing off against the Stars. Flames end up winning 4-1 off of a three-score period in the third. Looking good there. And then last but not least, my Smashville Predators end up going home empty-handed, losing the series, getting swept 4-0. I told Anthony, like, I really want to go to a Predators game, but I don't want to go to a Predators game and see my team lose. And so I'm happy I didn't go to a playoff Predators game because it was bad news bears for us all throughout the playoffs. They took our shit and told us to go home essentially.
Yeah, that's a rough spot to be in. I
Yeah,
know there's not many things I know, but I know the Avalanche are one of the best teams in the league. So
yeah. Yes, I
not a
uh
good spot
I
to be in.
now know that for sure. I have no doubts about that. After this series. All right, let's talk about something that we're a little bit more knowledgeable in. Let's talk about some NBA playoffs and talk about everything that happened last night. Celtics versus Bucks is the first game. Bucks came into the fourth quarter with a pretty solid lead at the end of the day, and then Celtics end up taking it all from them in the fourth. The fourth quarter scoring differential was 43-28, which is insane. That's 15 points that you have to make up there as that Bucks team, and it kind of all on the back of Al Horford, a guy that I think we were making fun of this Celtics team for signing Al Horford early on in the postseason or early on in the offseason, and it's clearly working out for them. I think a lot of people counted them out after we found out that Time Lord wasn't going to be in this game. He was ruled out pretty early on due to that knee injury, but they came through. You know, Jason Tatum had a career awful night the game before and really showed up in this one with 30 points, 13 rebounds, 5 assists. You saw Marcus Smart come through on the scoring end. You saw Derek White get a lot of work off the bench, the guy who got the most work off of the bench. Again, most importantly, Al Horford, 30 real life points, 8 rebounds, 3 assists. The guy looked amazing out there and is able to get a big win against the Bucks to tie this thing up at 2-2, heading into Boston for Game 5. How are you feeling as the Bucks fan here?
That was the one that you probably let slip. Well, not necessarily slip away. You had some shots to win. It was going to be down to the wire. So I don't feel the greatest. I don't feel the worst. I'm glad I didn't see the fourth quarter because I was right. I was that was right as I was boarding, but I did watch pretty much everything else before that. And I do think Grant Williams is a huge thorn in Giannis's side. Al Horford, same thing. Those two guys literally signed probably to defend guys like Joel Embiid and Giannis, and that's the reason that they are now playing there.
Yeah.
I'm, we've had a couple games now where, uh, and I don't know, like I can't necessarily say that I would know how this series would go if Chris Middleton was in, but I know we've had games without Marcus Smart, and then last night without Robert Williams, and it just also seems like regardless of who steps up for the Celtics, either one of Jalen Brown or Jason Tatum has an off game or a terrible game. And I am a little bit scared of that if they all find things and click together like they did in game two. But I don't see there being another scenario where a game blows out. So I do think that it's unique that both teams have now won games on the road. It's now who can win the best of three. And I think Celtics should have the advantage, obviously, with home court. But maybe this lights the fire under the Bucks to potentially make a call on Chris Middleton in the next day or two.
Yeah. Should be interesting, man. I don't know what side I'm leaning right now. I think it would be Celtics with them having the home court advantage, but anything can happen in this series. We've clearly already seen that, and it's going to be exciting to watch
Yeah.
for sure. Speaking of a series where anything can happen, we have the Warriors facing off against the Grizzlies for the next game that we're talking about, and Ja Morant out from this game was out due to a knee soreness from the game before. This one, even without Ja, was down to the wire. Grizzlies kept this close, or I guess you can kind of say that the Warriors kept this close with their really poor shooting. Klay Thompson 0 for 7 from 3 point range. Curry went 4 for 14 from 3 point range. Really, none of the shooting was on last night. Jordan Poole went 4 for 12 from the field. A lot of struggles from this Warriors team, and Memphis keeps it close, but not close enough. Warriors end up pulling away at the very end to end up getting the win. And Curry had 14 points in that last quarter. He had 18 points over the entire game before that. So he really lit things up in the fourth, and Warriors come ahead 3-1 in this series. How concerning is it without Ja? Because at first I saw the Grizzlies up, and I go back to that stat that I had in my head where their win record without Ja is like 20-2 or something ridiculous.
Yeah.
So like
Yeah.
it was like maybe this isn't going to be as concerning as I thought it would be, but clearly they need that guy who's able to finish at the end of games, and they didn't have it last night.
Yeah, I mean, he's basically some of like the main reason that they won the games that they've won so far this postseason. And I don't know, against the Warriors, it's just too good of a team to be down your best player. And I'm kind of like a little bit behind on this whole knee thing, the drama that happened with all that. I did see the Jordan Poole stuff, but I don't like know the context of it other than the fact that he did bang knees with Klay Thompson like a couple plays earlier. So have we come to the realization that that's what it actually was? Because I saw that his tweet got deleted.
I think so. I think that most people have realized that it's probably that, but I think there are still some people in the fandom that still think it's Poole's fault for grabbing
Mm.
his knee. I don't know. It's a complete mess. And then people are going back to the Grizzlies. There's this play where Desmond Bain ends up, in my opinion, really he just slips. Like that's all it is. And he's diving for the ball at the same time. But a lot of Warriors fans are saying that he's diving for Jordan Poole's knees. Like it's been an ugly series considered like for both fandoms. I feel like it's been a really ugly series. We had a meteorologist from Memphis who said some like incredibly racist stuff
Oh boy.
on Twitter, and it was like what are you doing? Like why are you that much of a jackass? I don't know. It's been a complete mess. Life of Goosey said, "Did you see Curry flop yesterday?" I did see that flop. That flop was insane, man. I don't know. It's this series is a mess. It's been a lot of fun to watch, but it's obviously been nasty on both sides too.
Yes, it that yeah. I would say it's not more physical than the Bucks one, but it's been very dirty, cheap shotty type stuff on both ends.
Oh yeah.
I mean, actually, Bucks Celtics is kind of coming into that as well. Uh, I was actually impressed. I watched two Sixers games that were both in Philly. I was about an hour outside of that area. Very surprised that they were able to win both behind Joel Embiid. It doesn't seem like he's hurt at all, and now he
No.
gets this. Now he gets, if there was ever a revenge spot, and we know these revenge spots for him are true, and he's had a couple of them this year, this has to be like the biggest one ever.
Yeah, it certainly does, man. Like the run that the 76ers team has gone on the past 2 days, we both said that like this series is all but done. The series is all but over. And here comes Joel Embiid and James Harden having a once in a lifetime type of performance on Sunday. Kind of propelling the 76ers team to keep things close. And then we also said that the Suns team seemed like they were just about ready to get done with the Mavs, and Mavericks tie up the series too. So we now have we have 4 games in the semifinals of each conference that look like they're going to be extremely close, maybe outside of the Grizzlies one, but I still think the Grizzlies one could potentially go 6. It's going to be a lot of fun, man. I'm more excited about today's group of games than I was about this group of games last week when we were kind of down on it.
Yeah. Yeah, it's definitely turning into a lot better of a second round. And yeah, I mean, like I said, the Bucks and the Celtics and the Warriors, Grizzlies are or were the best. And I still think that they are still a little bit of a tier above, but both teams firing back shots on the other side. So I don't know. I mean, I'm curious to see how long everything goes here, but you should start to see teams separate themselves. But, at the end of the day, actually, we haven't talked about this yet, so it's a good chance to bring it up. What do you think about this whole Chris Paul scenario? And
Oh
is it
my
just
god.
more?
Yeah.
Is it just more inflated now by the fact that he could potentially lose another and choke another series?
What do you mean by the Chris Paul scenario? The thing with his
Like
mom?
the family stuff. Yeah.
Yeah, dude, that was insane. Dude, absolutely ridiculous Mavericks fans, by the way. Or I guess you can't single out a fandom; you get to single out the fan. What is wrong with that kid? And I don't know. I'm sure you saw the clip. It's been playing all over Twitter. Just the fact that he's like, "I'll come find you after the game," and everyone's like, "Oh, Chris Paul, that's just a kid. What are you doing?" Like, nah, man, this kid put hands on your family. And I guess it was like, it's still a big deal, obviously. You shouldn't be touched if you don't want to be touched. But I guess he was giving a hug to the mom that wasn't wanted, is how it was
Ew.
phrased. Yeah, yeah, it was right. And like, it's just, come on. Like, I don't know. One, raise your kids right. Like, don't. Don't be that guy. But two, like, I don't know. I think it's fine what he said at the end of the day. If you put hands on someone's family, then you deserve all the smoke.
That's crazy. Didn't know that the hug was. I was wondering what the actual thing was because the video doesn't really show much outside
No,
of
it does.
the bench stuff.
That's what I saw.
So
I don't know, like, we don't have video of like the actual, I wouldn't say altercation. We don't have video of what exactly happened with the kid, but that's what I heard. I heard it was he was heckling the Chris Paul's mom and then gave her an unwanted hug. and it's no, thank you. Like,
Ugh.
yeah, it just sounds bad. It sounds awful. So I don't know. This will. I can guarantee you, if you're not playing Chris Paul today, you're doing something wrong in DFS because guy is gonna come out fired the fuck up, and you should be playing Chris Paul tonight as they face off against the Mavericks. Like I said, we have the game against the Mavericks tonight, or we have Mavericks and Suns. We have Heat and 76ers. This is going to be a good series, or two good games, I feel like. And it seems like Embiid has kind of re injected some energy into the 76ers team. I want to bring up this because this is a conversation that Kai and I had yesterday. Jokic
Mhm.
won MVP yesterday. Good for him. I think well deserved. A lot of people are disagreeing with me on the fact that it was obviously, or people are saying that it was obviously Embiid who deserved MVP. I I
Oh
don't
no,
I don't
no,
agree
no,
with
it
that
wasn't.
whatsoever. But does it change your opinion whatsoever if Embiid coming back is what leads the 76ers to winning this series?
No, because it's not regular. This isn't regular season anymore.
That's what I said. I said it wasn't regular
Oh,
season. He brought up the
okay.
good point of like it conveys how much he means to his team, but still, it's not a regular season. It's not a regular season accomplishment. This is a regular season award. MVP is so. I don't know.
Yeah. Okay, we can dissect this just a little bit further. I think that it's obviously fantastic that he has been able to overcome this injury for what, like, apparently the day before, or 2 days before game 3, they were saying that he was, because he was this, because I was gone for this part, and that game was on Friday, and I remember like showing my friends on Thursday that this dude couldn't even go to shoot around or practice because he couldn't, like, the light on his phone in the darkness of his room was bothering his eye too much that he couldn't play. I don't
That's
know if you
insane.
guys heard that or anything, but that's what the report was coming into Friday. And then all of a sudden I'm sitting at dinner and he's doubtful, but he's upgraded to questionable within like 30 minutes. That's crazy. So I expected him to try to give it a go. Didn't think it was going to go that well, and even if it did, they were able to. Miami should be able to take care of that, but they didn't. So it's been crazy to watch, and I think that it's definitely something that we cannot go unnoticed. But Jokic had the better regular season, and that's what it
Yeah.
comes down to. Sure, his team got eliminated in the first round handedly, and he didn't really have a factor in that series outside of a game or two. But this is, I don't know. It just, people are comparing it because it's like, oh, they went through this whole Ben Simmons drama and all this stuff, yada yada. But Joker had to go with two guys that are better than Ben Simmons at this point. Because
Yeah.
who knows how good Ben Simmons even is right now? We don't
Yeah.
know, but we do know how good Michael Porter and Jamal Murray are, and he did the whole season without them.
Yeah. Well, my thing was like if you take away Jokic from that Nuggets team, they're a lottery team, and most likely they're one of the bottom three
Oh
teams
yeah,
in the league. It's not
they
even
probably,
close.
yeah, they're a lottery team. Yeah, they're a lottery team.
And if you take away Embiid from the 76ers, I feel like they're still a play-in team. Or if they might even sneak into the playoffs at the end of the day. They might get that last seed, the sixth seed, because Maxey is good enough and Harden is good enough. Like I don't know. I just think you take away those guys from their teams, and obviously Nuggets are far worse off. And Aaron Gordon, Jokic's second best player, is he even a starter on the 76ers? Like maybe, but he's the fifth guy. Like he's the fifth best option on your team at best. So I don't know. It blows my mind to think that obviously Jokic was the most valuable player to his team and to the league at the end of the day. So I don't think it's much of a conversation. So that's where I stand.
Right. I do think that Embiid's second. I do rank him over Giannis, and I mean, that part's
Yeah.
probably not close. I do think Embiid had a chance to be the favorite early on, and then Joker just played better throughout the entire rest of the season.
No.
And that's kind of where it came down to me. Yeah, sure, playoff performances can swing things, especially when we're talking like NFL. Like that is a real thing because the award gets announced after the playoffs are done right before the Super Bowl. So I think that influences some things. But in the NBA, I do think that it's until they say that See, this is why I don't really understand the award. Like, do it, like announce it later.
Yeah.
If it's going to be something where the playoffs are indicative of what the decision is, then just put it later. Otherwise, it can never be viewed as anything but a regular season award.
Yep, I completely agree. I don't understand why you just don't do it after, like, right after the regular season. Like, we have, like, a week gap in between the regular season and the playoffs. Just announce the award then. Like, I don't know why. Anyway, it's a little ridiculous. But let's move on. Let's talk about some baseball. Not much to talk about here. I know you probably didn't watch much baseball over the weekend, so I'm gonna give one of my favorite moments. Did you see the Rangers manager by any chance and what he said about Gleyber Torres' home run?
I saw some kind of cheap shot remark, so
Yes.
fill me in.
So it's a 1-1 game between the Yankees and the Rangers. Cole pitches a gem, goes 7 innings, looks amazing. Only gives up a solo shot to Cole Calhoun. So tied 1-1 coming into the ninth, and Gleyber Torres hits a rocket out into right field, into the short porch, and ends up getting a home run. And then it's a second half of it's a double header. So they take a little break, and then they come back out, and they're interviewing Chris. I think it's Chris Woodward is the Rangers manager. They're interviewing him, and he says, he's like, yeah, it's because it's a little league ballpark at the end of the day, and that home run wouldn't have been a home run anywhere else. Except we have the data now to prove that it would have been a home run elsewhere, and it would have been a home run in 26 out of 30 MLB parks. Jared, was the announcement that we got from that Twitter account that we've seen a few times pop up this season
Right.
of if it would be a home run. And yeah, it was an amazing little dig. And then Woodward walked back his comments yesterday, saying that, like, oh, it wasn't meant for any disrespect towards Yankees fans or towards Yankee Stadium. And then Nestor Cortez almost no hit the Rangers yesterday. He no hit them for 7 innings, and then finally gave up a single to Eli White. But ended up getting a big win yesterday too. I don't know. You at like in here it says Josh's favorite MLB moments from the weekend. Single handedly, that was my favorite moment. Was seeing that comment happen and then seeing him get proved wrong everywhere. But
Yeah,
yeah, it was a good moment for Yankees fans this weekend.
I saw the I saw the. It's not really big news necessarily, but the Pirates, the Jose Quintana news was definitely interesting to see. He had his first win since 2019,
Yes, I
and
saw
snapped the Pirates' 16 game losing streak against the Dodgers
that.
that dated
Yeah.
back 5 years. Yeah, so I didn't realize that Quintana had that long without, but I guess he doesn't really qualify for wins normally these days. So
No.
I don't know, it's weird. So he's been through the ringer for sure. I remember he even pitched for the Brewers for a while. So um, that's crazy.
Yeah. It is pretty crazy, right? Like it's an insane amount of time to go without a win. Other favorite moments from this weekend's MLB slate. I don't know if you saw it, but the Reds finally get their first series win. And who else against? Of course, it's the Pirates that end up losing the series to the Cincinnati
Yeah,
Reds. Ends up being like 3-1, I think, throughout the whole entire series. But very interesting to see them lose that series. But not much else happened. I mean, Mets ended up getting a few more wins against the Phillies. Yankees came out on top, like I said. Dodgers got a big win against the Cubs on Sunday Night Baseball. But yeah, was a pretty low key weekend for baseball. Yesterday, though, we got to talk about yesterday, and we got to talk about this Cleveland Guardians game as they faced off against the White Sox. So coming into the ninth inning, White Sox are up 8-3. We see a run get hit in, and it's 8-4, and we're thinking, oh, not that big of a deal. White Sox have Liam Hendricks, so everyone knows Liam Hendricks is a pretty good
yeah,
bullpen arm. We think they're going to shut things down. Josh Naylor comes up to the plate with bases loaded, and boom, grand slam to tie the damn thing up. And then it goes into extra innings. We go back and forth a little bit, and then in the top of the 11th inning, boom, 3-run homer by who else? Josh Naylor, who has just a absolutely amazing night with this Guardians team. Um, So obviously it's impressive what Naylor is doing, and I think it's important to talk about that. Talk about this Guardians team too, because they have been really solid to start off the season. When I think everyone expected their season to end up more like the A's, where they actually
Yeah, for
have
sure.
been a pretty good ball club. They're second in the Central right now. But I do want to talk about the White Sox because this White Sox team is a team that we kind of expected to contend. They've made all the moves to be that contender. They're supposed to have the bats, they're
Mhm.
supposed to have the pitching staff, and they are third in that AL Central conversation. And this isn't the first time that we've seen this bullpen implode. We've seen this happen multiple times beforehand. So, what is your feeling on the Chicago White Sox up to this point in the season? Because my feeling is that I don't know how you expect this team to do a lot right now with the current roster that they have.
Yeah, they've gone through some early pitcher injuries. Still think that they should be okay, but it is concerning that you have some injury prone guys, not even on the pitching staff, but just like in general in Luis Robert, Tim Anderson, you had Eloy Jimenez get carted off like a couple weeks ago. Jose Abreu is not getting any younger. It did feel like last year things were clicking for them, and the signings that they had should have been something to give you more positive vibes for this team in a weaker division. But we have seen that that's just not the case, and they what are they against right-handed pitching, like bottom five in the league still? So
Yep.
that's gonna hurt them obviously because that's the majority of the league in general. So if they
Yeah.
can overcome some of those injuries and get hot at the right time, I think this team was just constructed to, I don't know. I mean, be just a playoff contender, and that might be it.
Yeah, I don't know. Should be interesting. They obviously need to get back a few of those guys. Got back young Moncada last night. That's going to be an important
That's
key piece
huge.
to that
Yeah.
team to bat against righties. It gives them another lefty in that lineup. And then you still have Lance Lynn on the shelf. He's on the IL for a little bit longer. And
hmm
obviously you're missing Rodon as well because he's on another team now. So, um,
That's gonna bite them. Coming. Who did they get rid of for that,
what do you mean?
or who did they get? Who did they get for Rodon, or did you
They
just sign?
didn't. It was just a signing. He was a free agent.
Oh, I think that's
Yeah.
gonna come back to hurt them really badly.
I would agree. I think that's one of those or one of those guys that you lose that like you should have gone all out to keep there. Um, I don't know. It's not. I mean, like I know they spend a tremendous amount of money because they have a lot of solid bats on their roster, but I feel like that's a guy that you buck up and you pay at the end of the day. I mean, the Giants didn't even 2 years and like what I think it was like 40. It was either might have been 2 years, 60 million. I don't exactly remember that deal, but I know it wasn't like ridiculous amounts of money. It wasn't like he was getting paid as the next big pitcher quite yet.
Well, he certainly has shown that he is.
Yeah,
Insane performance last night too. 12 strikeouts in 6 innings is pretty
guy's a
awesome for
beast.
him. Yep, he is a beast.
Yeah, it's crazy because like I was looking at that game and I was like, Rockies are pretty good against lefties. I feel like he might end up getting pieced up a little bit, but it doesn't matter, dude. He's very much he keeps reminding me of that level of guy like Burns last year or something that we kept seeing just come out and be absolutely dominant. By the way, that contract that he got with the Giants, 2 years, 44 million, all of that 44 million guaranteed. So I don't know what the hesitancy is with the White Sox to just sign him to that. Like that's not you're not committing a lot to that deal at the end of the day. He's only 29 years old, so that puts him at 31 at the end of the contract.
That's
Like
crazy.
that's I don't know. You pay the man. Like just pay him. Like I don't
Yes,
think
you
it's
do.
that difficult at the end of the day. All right.
I mean, imagine the deal he's gonna get. Sorry, here we
Oh
continue, but he's
yeah.
gonna get an absolute shell of a deal because he's gonna probably be the NL Cy Young.
Oh yeah.
At least he's the leader right now. He might be I don't know. Well, it's too early to tell, but he should be front runner in a few months from now.
If he's not the front runner, or if I mean, he's going to get a huge contract after this. It'll be around like 5 or 6 years, but it'll very easily be closer to 200 million than 100 million, I think, at the end of the day. So,
Definitely.
You just got to pay the man at some points. But all right, we have plenty to talk about in our dog days of spring, almost dog days of summer. We're getting close. Feel like we might have to change that over pretty soon, maybe within the next couple days. But it's a dog days of spring for right now. This is where we give a shout out to our good friends over at UnderdogFantasy.com, and we give you guys a free underdog bet for today's slate. So, Jared, hopefully you're getting that pulled up. I have mine pulled up right now. We can choose between NBA, MLB. There's plenty to use on this slate, and I'll let you go first.
Yeah, it might seem a little bit chalky, but at the end of the day, I think that this is probably the most narrative-driven night of the NBA that we've had so far in these
Yeah.
playoffs, and I don't know how you can play or how you can avoid. I know that he didn't necessarily show this on Friday, um, but I'm definitely, and I'm just checking just one more thing here.
Hmm.
Yeah, I don't know how you fade. You can't fade Joel Embiid points tonight. It's just not a thing. So I'm taking Joel Embiid over 25.5 points.
Do you want to take over 25.5 points or over 39.5 PRA?
I
Because like
saw
he
that too. I
I
know.
think the PRA is a little bit closer. I don't know. It's up to you at the end of the day. I don't care either
I
way.
think he
But
hits both.
yeah, I think he does too. So maybe you guys use that with your discretion. I think it's relatively easy for the second pick. We're gonna go back to the NBA, and this number is a little ridiculous in my eyes. Chris Paul over 30.5 PRA. He's gonna hit it. I don't think there's any way that he doesn't hit it with the narrative driven stuff that he has tonight after the whole family thing over the weekend. Like, yeah, he's gonna hit this and he's gonna absolutely dominate in this game. And I think Devin Booker lets him dominate in this game. So 30 and a
Yep.
half points, rebounds, and assists for Chris Paul. He could hit that in points alone tonight, and I would not be shocked whatsoever. All right, Jared. That's it. That's it for the morning after show. Glad to be back. Glad to be back for the entire week. Do you have any final thoughts before we get out of here?
I do not. Other than the fact that I agree with the narratives, and it's going to be pivotal game fives for both series.
Hmm?
And I think that whoever wins both of these wins the series.
Yeah, I can get behind it. It's gonna be a lot of fun to watch. It's gonna be a lot of fun to keep up with. Make sure to tune in tomorrow to hear our reactions to those games. But that is it for today's morning after show. Thank y'all for hanging out. We greatly appreciate it here, and we can't wait to see y'all tomorrow. As always, my name is Joshua Reimer. Good morning and good skill.